What's up SAAB fans around the world, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm back with the Griffin and we are going to fix this little failure with the low oil pressure that I have previous. If you are a subscriber to the channel and you have seen the previous videos, you have also seen that we changed the oil filter and filled up with the correct oil for this engine and the correct amount. And that didn't solve the problem. It still flashes for like 1 second or so, just when you do the cold start. Otherwise there is no problem, but I don't want that on cold start either. I want everything to be correct and 100%. So today we are going to fix that problem, hopefully. So this is a really common problem on 9.3 TTiD and also the new generation 9.5 TTiD, that this little seal tend to dry and harden and not give the correct readings for the oil pressure, and this is really soft, as it should be like new, but after a while in the engine it tends to stiffen up and sometimes crack or implode. So this is a super usual or common problem on the TTiDs, and this part costs around 300 or 400 in Sweden. It was a little hard to get, but I managed to find someone that had it in stock. The problem is this part doesn't cost a lot, but it causes a pretty big job to change it, because you need to drop the oil pan, so you need some new engine oil. You also need to drain the transmission and get some new transmission oil, because you need to remove the drive shaft, and you're also going to need some new silicone seal for the oil pan when you are going to install it again. So I'm going to link an instruction for this job in the description down below, and I'm going to show you as much as possible of this work. So you need to remove the air box and loosen some of the bolts that hold the engine mount, so the engine can move a little bit freely, because there are 2 bolts that are really hard to get to if you don't do this. So you need to turn the engine a little bit, and before dropping the actual oil pan you need to rise the engine like 20 millimeters. So remove that and remove those bolts. Then take this wheel off and remove the inner liner. Then there's drop the exhaust, and then you will need to remove or drain the oil, of course, of the engine and the transmission. And then you need to remove the drive shaft, and then you should be able to undo the bolts that sits on the oil pan and remove the oil pan. So it's quite a big job. We will see how much issues we will stumble upon, but I feel that this is a work that needs to be done to have the car 100%. Then we will probably go for a tune, because when I have tuned the other TID car, this one is a little bit slow, but this one with a tune is going to be much faster. So I'm really hyped about that. So I'm not going to talk very much. As I said before, I'm going to put a link in the description for the instructions how to perform this work, and I will try to show the crucial steps in this process. much of this you actually can see, but I undid the downpipe or the front part of the exhaust, and on this particular vehicle they have welded on a new flex pipe that is a little bit longer. So to save myself some time and hassle, I'm just going to try to bend this to the side and lock it in with a screwdriver like so. So now I can continue with the oil pan, drain the oil from the engine and drain the oil from the gearbox. Sometimes I just get so disappointed. It's just people in general. This is made at an authorized dealer workshop, and they have hammered in Torx like T50 to get this out and get it on again. And if you manage to get one of these out, just throw it away and replace with a new one. You don't put this back, period. So I'm gonna do the right thing and mount a new one. So a little update on the progress. Everything surrounding the oil pan is now detached. The only thing that's left now, or the hardest part to remove the oil pan, is probably to get to the bolts that's next to the flywheel between the gearbox and the oil pan. So I just unscrew the bolts for the gearbox a little bit so that I could pry out just a couple of millimeters. Then I used a special extension to loosen them, so that worked quite well. Now the thing is, I'm gonna put a lift here under the AC bracket and lift the engine approximately 20 millimeters. Then I would be able to just let the oil pan down and turn it 90 degrees and let it down. So we will see how that goes. I can show you an update on the other side as well. The drive shaft is out of the way. So now it's just to undo all these little screws around the whole oil pan. The connector is loose. So to get out the hard to get to screws, I used this home built extension, which worked quite well with the bit in the top. Made it quite easy to reach. So that was a success. So now let's take down the oil pan. So we got the oil pan off, and right here is the part that we are going to be changing. I'm gonna take it out and we're gonna compare the new one to this one and see if this really could be the issue. Then we're gonna clean off all the edges around here before applying some new silicone, and then mount everything back. There are not many things about this job that is funny. It's pretty much a pain in the ass. But I like this part about the job, when you have get everything apart and you get to inspect the oil pan and see if you could find something, hopefully not, but I think this is really interesting to pick everything apart and hopefully don't find anything you don't want to find. But seeing this from the top, it looks pretty clean. The oil seal looks really clean. Everything looks really clean. I have done this previous on a couple of 9.5s, and then the case has always been that you find a little bit of metal in this oil seal, and this looks really nice. So now we're just gonna clean off this edge and then try to put everything back together. Of course, all of this work was due to this little fella right here. As you can see, here is the new part. It's rubbery and really soft all the way with a metal edge, and the old one is super stiff. So I hope this is the case, that this is the correct part that we are exchanging. On many forms, on SAAB forms, this seal or O-ring has been talked about very often, and this is, I would say, in 95% of the cases when you get the flashing light on cold start, low oil pressure, this is the problem. So going to be great to fit this. I hope it seals better when it's a little bit soft than when it's like this. So now pretty much everything is back on the car. It's missing the air filter box, the battery and the plastic cover underneath. But otherwise everything is in order, everything is tightened down. So what you need to do now is refill the transmission oil and also the engine oil. This is really crucial. You mess with a lot of things everywhere, you're down, you're up, you're around the car. And damn, don't forget to refill. That's the most important part. So for the transmission oil, I'm using GM Original, and it should be 1.8 liters for the manual transmission, and for the engine oil it's 4.3 liters for the diesel. So now everything is put together again. And let's see if this did the job. The lamps flashed for a split second, but that might be because the engine has been completely out of oil. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you liked this video and it could be to some use for some of you TTiD owners out there. I hope this video could guide you a little bit, or at least know a little bit what kind of job you are facing if you're doing this by yourself. I would rate it at 6 out of 10 in the degree of how hard this job was. It's not that complicated, but you need to have the right tools, because the screws on the oil pan, I didn't have those type of bits. So I used Torx, which worked great as well, but it's not the right one. Now the light flickered for just a split second, which it hasn't done before. Before it has lit up for like at least 1 second and then turned off. So I think this was a little bit progress. I hope it's just the first start because of the new oil and everything. So it needs to get around in the engine. If you have any questions regarding this video, I will put a link in the description for the instructions for this job. So if you want to do it by yourself, you get from A to Z what you are going to need to do and the tools you need. So I hope once again this video could be to some guidance. Be sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for future videos, and I will see you very soon again. Bye. I'm tired.